Hi everybody, this is chapter 2 and chapter 3 of a very heavy fairy tale, Trouble and Trolls. Chapter 2, Be careful what you wish for. It is true that the final wish of a dying man could be presented to the gods themselves to be granted, in order that the lost essence of that poor fellow would not be in vain, and some kind of balance might be restored into the mixture of existence. So it was that the final wish of one short fellow was ushered up to heaven and was received by the gods. It is ironic how that poor man would not be around to suffer the consequences of his foolish and untimely wish. However, others surely would. And as the next day's sun crept over the dew of the morning fields, another strange set of events were put in motion that would take some believing and even more undoing. Chapter 3. Someone so important. It was 2 more days before anyone tried to cross the bridge. Even the wind hesitated before coming this way, and the air had a dank and evil smell about it. The sun had not long poked a few fingers of light from the shutters of rolling clouds when there was motion in the distance. It was a troop of the king's finest soldiers leading a horse-drawn carriage. The troop was lost, and had strayed onto this lesser-known route along the mountain ranges that punctuated the kingdom. The man inside the carriage was not known for his patience, but for his arrogance, and the lack of pity in his selfish heart. The captain of the troop was a cautious man, and he sent ahead 2 scouts to ascertain the way. When they returned with the tale of some threatening sign before the bridge, the news weighed heavy on his heart. For this was surely a shortcut, but now it seemed it was also a dangerous one. The decision to proceed would not be the captain's, but instead would be taken by the gentleman in the carriage, who was no gentleman. The big man stirred and waved a hand out of the window. It was a gesture that commanded someone's immediate attention. So the captain rode over on his horse and dismounted at the ornate door, which swung open as he approached it. The large, pompous gentleman lifted his heaving bulk off the seat and squeezed himself out of the door. Some moments later he descended from the carriage.
"Well, Captain, why are we not there yet? Why are we stopped in such a place, Captain? Tell me the tale."
"Well, sir, the scouts have found a sign which threatens us of extreme danger if we continue."
Captain, this danger must be great, to put such fear into one of the king's finest."
"No, sir, it is not fear, but caution that drives me."
"Well, mister, what do you make of this sign?"
"It is just around the corner and warns of the great danger beyond."
The captain pointed down the road.
"How many men do we have, Captain?"
"We have a troop, sir. That's 20 men, and all of them on horseback."
The captain mounted his horse. The first official continued.
"So, let us ride with the confidence of the king's troops to meet some creature, you say? Some mud-dwelling creature from the underworld rolling in its own excrement? On, Captain, on, and let us give the king's hell to any creature who tries to bar the king's way and meddle with someone so important." "Very well, sir."
The captain turned to his men.
"The sign be damned! Men, take up your arms! We've been tasked to perform the king's business by the high official, so let's be about it, men!"
The men steadied their horses and pulled them into formation. The troop continued down the road until the bridge was before them. The order was given for the troop to form a skirmish line and be ready to charge. The area opened out into a square of uneven ground that went left and right along by the river. Everything was going well until the troll climbed out from under the bridge. The horses, although unnerved, were better trained and had known the clash of battle. They stood firm, and it was their riders who were forced to take stock of themselves as the menacing creature came out to meet them.
"You did not see the sign, then?"
The troll's voice was filled with a veiled menace, contemptuous and malign. The captain rode on his horse to meet the troll.
"We are the king's troop. I command you to yield, for it is written that no one shall bar the king's way."
The troll laughed a deep, throaty curse. The fear spread out to the horses, which became more difficult to hold true to their riders' weakening wills.
"The only law here is mine, and that law is death."
"Then, foul creature, you will die, cut to pieces by the king's steel."
The captain drew back and the order was given for the men to advance. They formed a charging line and set about the skirmish. The troll did not seem concerned and stood on the same spot bracing itself for battle. He cracked his massive knuckles and folded them around two gigantic rock hammers. The horses went forward, and even though the spell of fear had affected their brave hearts, they were still willing to charge. The troll roared an ungodly sound that was enough to put them all to fight and flight. The charge was broken, and the troll smiled a rotten, toothy grin and went into the melee to crush anything before it. The king's men tried to regroup, but even with their sharply crafted weapons they were no match for the monster, who soon had killed half of them. The captain and the rest of his men fell back to defend the carriage as the troll moved forward. One man had survived the troll's horrific strength and been taken for dead. As the troll ambled towards the carriage, he crawled the opposite way across the bridge and limped off. The troll advanced until he towered above the carriage. The official was in fear and tumbled out of the door and onto the ground, his robes folding over the top of him. The captain and the last of the soldiers were crushed, and he stooped over the simpering man on the ground.
You did not see the sign then!
I represent the king.
He fell back.
I represent death. There's a bit of fat on you. I don't think I could eat you raw.
The troll picked him up by the legs and ate him.
Oh, I knew it wouldn't taste good.
He wandered about for a while, picking up the broken bodies, and dragged them all under the bridge. He didn't care for horse meat, and anyway, the horses were off, fleeing with the panic-stricken instincts of the herd.